Hey, welcome back. And today I'm in the town of Fairfax, California, and I'm here to go check out the Marin Museum of Bicycling. It should be pretty cool. It's supposed to have a history of a bicycle and a history of mountain biking in Marin County, and this is reported to be the county that mountain biking got started. So let's go check out the bicycle museum in Fairfax and see all the cool things inside. It should be a lot of fun. Yeah, we could call those like Strider bikes.
Were they popular?
It's got wooden wheels and everything. Here's a 10 speeds. This is a 1951. Look at the gearing, the system here. And this guy. Oh, it's really bizarre. I wonder how they... Oh, so you'd reach down manually behind you, and this would change the gears.
They're working on it. We're working on it.
Varsity 8-speed up there, a Schwinn.
They call this bone nut.
Good bike. Bsa Gold Column. Gearing here, looks like you have a shifter. This is a 52.
They would call their bike a wheel back then too, because it was so much like this one.
Bsa. No, this is probably the same people that make the motorcycles.
It was really the clothing that made it such a good
Another one here.
But they have the skirt.
French-made touring bike. It's got the generator light here. It just spins on the wheel and creates electricity for the lighting. It's 1950s. I had one of those generators on my bicycle. And the thing I didn't like about it is that it created a lot of resistance, so you had to pedal harder to get the light to work. Look at that shifting system down there. Crazy.
So yeah,
And these track bike, a single gear racer bike. Some of these, look at the tubing here. It's real thin. That's a nice looking bike. Some of them, they're like works of art, these things. And the spokes here. These chrome brakes, pretty sweet. Italian bike. This is a Schwinn Paramount.
oh really? Or is this
Here's another bike here, 1974.
Yeah, I think
Got an air pump here.
and the ability to steer the
Joe Breeze, 1977. 20.5 pounds, 12 gears. And then this the Flying Scott Supreme,
maybe for a couple of years in Paris.
custom built for Herman Beasley of Oakland.
You know, the dandies of the day showing off the latest technology.
Look at the shifting here.
The next technology, you know.
And the brakes, as you know.
That's just a running machine or
It's a pretty cool bike for 1962. And this is a double here, just a frame.
This is the one. But there was this gap from that moment, say 1820 to the 18.
Chris Chance, I don't know who he is, but he's probably a racer of some kind. And then bike here. Another racing bike looks like. This one here, I like the color of that guy.
Yes, and the reason for that.
16 pounds. Check out this one. It's an Indian bicycle.
To transmit the power. Yeah.
Look at this light they got on it.
Part of it that was the design of the full chain. That was a big deal.
And a hand pump, single speed suspension seat.
But until then, it's
What's that one? And this one,
front wheel drive.
1983.
Rear wheel drive. But so they.
No, look. I remember when I skied, Look bindings were popular. I wonder if that's the same brand. Look bicycle. Yeah, Schwinn Spitfire for little kids. That's a pretty nice little bike though. And there's another Schwinn. I had a Schwinn Stingray.
And he calculated near inches.
And I used to go down Mount Tamalpais when I was in middle school on my Schwinn Stingray.
It all harkens back to these days.
It is a pretty strong bike. Look at this one. It's got these special track racer.
That means you'll go 3600 tires high down the road, but pretty hard. So now
With this Schwinn promo here.
is that somebody realizes that, I don't think you realize faster.
Posters.
And it just was. Right there. But yeah, you get the idea. They would make them
So those are the, what I would call 10 speeds back in the day.
and in some cases, it wasn't even the limitation.
We got these double ones up here, and that red one there. That's like the closest to my original bike that I rode, number 43. So this is where the mountain bike started. Now I was part of this scene growing up in Mill Valley.
But the name of the town is Wagon Tire. So maybe they had a blacksmith there, and get your wagon tire fixed. It's not middle of nowhere, but anyway, this is a tire. Now, even just not rubber.
So we used to, there was a bar and across the street from it in the town of Mill Valley. We'd hitchhike back when hitchhiking was still okay. And if you got lucky, you get a guy with a pickup truck like that, and you could throw your bike in the back, and he'd give you a ride. He happened to be going to the Stinson Beach over Mount Tam, and then he'd drop you off before you start going down the other side, and then we'd ride down all the trails. And sometimes I'd get 2 or 3 rides a day doing that. And that was in the late 70s, early 80s. A lot of fun. And these were called, we called these style of bicycles bombers. They're usually 1 speed, and some of them they had kickback. They called them a kickback 2-speed, which meant you would kick back on it, and then it'd have a gear inside the hub that would change to a higher gear. And then they had this one here, multiple gears. Now back in those days, not a lot of people rode their bicycles uphill because they were so heavy and hard. So you either got to ride in a car or you hitchhiked like me. So and they're talking about the Larkspur Canyon Gang here. So yeah, I have a lot of memories of doing stuff like that. And going down Mount Tam. We had names for all the trails. So we had one called the Old Railroad Grade, which is actually where the old railroad used to run on Mount Tam. We had one called Zigzag, which you had to zigzag back and forth like a skier would. And we had one called Roller Coaster. It was a fire road that was like a roller coaster, these big, huge, sweeping hills. and there was one called Pipeline because it held an old water pipe along it. And those were all on Mount Tam. Here's some pictures here. It's kind of like what I was doing back then.
But in this case, they are standing.
Look at this bike, all the different support beams they got.
Or being too far forward, or put that spoon brake on too hard.
That one's pretty cool. And various things. The Marin County Clunkers Club, I guess. I was never a part of a club, but certainly rode down. Joe Breeze.
Well, yeah, it does. And see this
So we used to modify my bicycles. My friend would make a seat post in a metal shop that would not bend. So we were always crashing our bikes.
This will come with the wheel, right? So it'll protect your pants. Yeah, so they all have like maybe that track bike. Oh, here's
This one's cool. There's some old frames. These aren't lightweight like today's frames. I used to pack these bearings all the time and try different things to make yourself go faster. These various pictures of old bikers. That one in the snow. Old advertising. That motorcycle picture, that's cool. In the picture here, it kind of looks like Mount Tam, but maybe not, against the wall. And then we're getting into more newer. This is the lady, the curator here said that's one of the very first aluminum frames ever made. 1979, 78. And I was telling her a story about my friend back then. He had an aluminum frame bike in the early 80s, and we were going down Mount Tam and the front part of it snapped off and he crashed pretty hard. Another Specialized, that's a popular brand now.
But anyhow, where we're going with these guys,
Stump jumpers. It's like a history of mountain bikes. It's kind of a cool book. Cunningham. And looks like this is what this lady here rode exclusively. It's Sun Tour race in China Camp, 1985. That was her winning bike. (1985) Fisher. Check out the suspension on this thing. It's crazy. The seat would move. I guess. Seat would go like that, I guess. It's pretty broad. They are on hinges here. And the suspension here. Disc brakes. That one's pretty cool. And this one, look at the suspension on that guy. It's got, look at that front fork and shock. That's crazy. That one like pivots like this and pushes up in the center. A lot of innovation going on back then. This one's got like motorcycle style shocks. Gary Fisher frame. Nishiki, I had one of these. My mom bought me a brand new 10-speed like that. wasn't a good idea for her to do that because I cut school a lot on that bike. I got a brand new bike in the middle of school and I didn't want to go to school, so I decided to go for rides most of the days. Look at this giant sprocket. Active suspension Yeti.
These are self-oiling.
Yeah.
And this is like super primitive. This looks like a handmade bike. These pivots here and the suspension. A prototype. The wheels. That's a pretty cool looking bike. Carbon fiber wheels. Look at the brakes. There's one here up there. Look at the head stock. It's got like a suspension up there. The handlebars. This is a truck. This thing pushes in like that. That's a cool bike. And this talks about looks like the stress of each metal component. I'm saying the suspension here, spare inner tube. This must be a racing bike. Look at that one. That one's cool. The frame is very bizarre. New seat posts and the suspension, the front wheels. Some of these bikes are like works of art. Check this one out. Look at that little gear there. I don't even know what that thing does. That's a crazy looking one now. And then this one here has got, see the little suspension up there in the back? More suspension. This one's really cool though. I don't know what that other chain does. If anybody is watching this, tell me in the comments, what does that little chain do? Oh, here's primary drive jack shaft. Wow. Little bicycle there. And there's a double racer. Look at this carbon fiber rod here. We got this carbon fiber thing here. That's pretty wild. Interesting. And the suspension is a little spring in the head of this. We got more bikes up top too. Now that one there, painted all fancy, is kind of the bike I used to ride. Except mine is a Swin. But it's a single speed like that.
The delineator was delineated all the
He's into the 90s now. Look at this suspension here. It's got this push rod. And then up and down. This is more suspension here. The pedals get lighter. This is 98. 98 is another one. Aluminum hub, disc brakes. This enclosed, so I guess no rocks will get in your chain. That one's pretty awesome. Now this one's getting real modern. It's a BMC 2016. In the rear, I don't know how many speeds that is. It's a lot of speeds. Rear does. I don't see any suspension in the rear. Just the front. But I bet that thing's light. Doesn't say how much it weighs. And this is a 2013 Scott Spark. Now that's got the rear suspension here. And the big gearing. And then up here above they got more bombers, what I call one-speed bombers. I had a friend back then that would ride one of those, and I would ride the Swing. That one's pretty cool. Look at the suspension on that guy. And that one. Those wheels are like carbon fiber. And check this out. This one's like this one now is 21 years old. And you look at the frame of this thing, and it looks like the gear changers are made out of wood. It looks that way. I don't know if that's true or not. And the suspension of this thing, this arm ends up pushing down. And it's got these shocks here. That one's like a motorcycle there. That one's pretty cool. I like that one. Now this bike here, what's it say? Peterson Bicycles. Look at the seat. It's suspended on like a tether, a strap, and then the cable going down. I'm not sure what that cable does. That's pretty wild, that design. Peace sign. Oh, this is like old school brakes. That's a really cool bike, so it seems so tall. You gotta be pretty tall to get on them. Very neat. Here's a map of all the bicycle trails and stuff. Back when bicycling was very popular. Early, about 100 years ago. This thing's like you put your bike on it and you can test it. Test roller. There's a double tandem 10-speed. And then we got this guy here. Fireball bike. Not sure about that one. Lake Lagunitas, old signs used to be on Mount Tam. It's a 2002 circa. That bike looks old, but it's new. Pretty nice bike. And this guy here, another double passenger. And this one here, 1978 Santana. Now this one's a military bike. It's all painted green, and the frame separates, so I guess you can haul it with you. And this is a 1956, I guess they're calling it a Swiss Army. Got the Swiss Army there. Got some luggage, I guess maybe store a gun here. Air pump. Seats got a little suspension. That was pretty cool. Apparently this green one is a paratrooper bike. Swiss Army bike. Now this one is really neat. Bowden Space Lander. That's like 1950s there, huh? Got the double headlights in the front. Pretty neat. They enclosed wheel here. Everything's enclosed. It's 1960s. It says even had little brake lights on it. Raleigh. I remember Raleigh's. Raleigh's was pretty popular growing up. This is a 1952 largest bicycle manufacturer in the world. And this one, this is like one you could put in the trunk of your car. It's like a breakdown bike. Okay, this one hands down is my favorite. Shaft drive chainless, rear suspension, leaf spring fork. Check this thing out. And look at when it was made, and then look at this thing. Look at the forks. It's got the friction here. I mean, can you believe when this thing was made? It's like the technology is amazing. And the precise. It's a shaft drive. This is a work of art. This bike from 1898, and it even has air tires. That's amazing. And this is some kind of a suspension too. Spring is probably in there. Look at the detail of these pedals. So everything about it is like total detail. That bike's really cool. So this part is part of the museum here, which is really cool. Is the steam train that ran on Mount Tamalpais. And look at this model of it. Detail, this model is amazing. Look at the inside. So it was called the crookedest train in the world, crookedest railroad. It's a narrow gauge, and you could go from San Francisco to Sausalito to Mill Valley and then go to the top of Mount Tam. Really cool. $2,000 hours to make that. So, here's a picture of Mount Tam. So this is the town I grew up in. And this is the train that I just showed you going down. So when I was riding bicycles, this is called the Old Railroad Trail. It was fun, but it wasn't that great because it wasn't super fast. It wasn't steep enough, but it's still fun. And East Blythedale, I lived here, and then we used to, this is Miller Avenue, and we used to hitchhike up Mount Tamalpais, and it'd go this way. But that's a cool picture of old Mill Valley. And there's some various literature of the train. There's a picture of it at the top. So they also call it a gravity train because on the way down they would just take a car that went by itself and went all the way to the bottom without a steam train attached. Now I do have a video on my channel where I walk around the top of Mount Tam, so I'll put a link above if you want to check that out. That's the fire lookout station at the top. This is all gone now. There's only a little bit of the foundation left. Some more train stuff. Here's it's like some kind of gift certificate. Promotion. And more footage of the train itself is a long photograph. And I guess this is in the Bicycle Museum because of the relationship to all the trails that used to be train tracks. But this is kind of cool because I like trains. This is what I was talking about, the gravity. And here's some guys. Now, if those guys rode down, they would be the founding fathers of mountain biking if they rode their bicycles down, which they may have. And this talks about they're actually restoring one of the original trains they found. And they're working on getting it back into functioning. So I think they're going to have it on display somewhere. Here's an interesting article about a train that the locomotive plunges over the canyon's edge at the curve on Mount Tamalpais in the engineer guide. Brochure. More of the train itself. In the clouds. You would also go to Muir Woods. There's a postcard here. And all the track and detail. They call it the greatest one-day trip in America. More of the train. East Peak. And then soon after the Tamalpais Railroad was removed, teens are riding bikes up and down the grade. So that's a little train display in the corner of the museum for the train buffs. Check this out, this old thermometer. This is really cool. There's an old thermometer right next to a modern thermometer. I like that. Pretty neat. Okay, this one here is 1897, made out of hickory. And they put these metal, look at the detail there. And this bike here, old Hickory Bike. Everything's made out of wood. Detail of that there. These are pinch around and it is bent. Wooden handlebars. I love the detail of that. It's really nice. Rock hard rubber. That's from 1897. And there's another beautiful one up here. It says 1899 Crescent model. Look at the wheels, they're like all shiny. And that's a really nice bike here. Moving down, these are kind of random. Look at this chain. It's a wild chain. This one's 1895. Now this, you would never guess this is from 1895. These things are like works of art back then. I mean, if that was if you saw this at a distance, when would you think that was from? Not 1895. And look at this one up here, 1894. It's a League. And that's a shaft drive. You see that? No chain. That's a cool bike too. And this one is 1890 Model 1 hard tire safety bicycle. They got some kind of, oh, the brake, look at the braking. That is smart. This pivots, this pushes down and pushes on the tire to slow you down. That's awesome. And you can adjust it here too, the tension. And a big bell. And this looks like these are made out of some kind of rubber or wood. Man, some of these older bikes are just really beautiful. And look at this. Not sure what the gearing is for. And this kind of pivots. And up there we got an 1893. It's a wooden spoke, wooden rim. Still had air tires though, which is very interesting to me. And this one is a Springfield Roadster Model 5. Yeah, this has gearing in it. So they had a gear that would get you going a little faster. I'd like to ride that thing. These are handlebars. Push brake.
Yeah, no, I see that.
Railroad.
Yeah, no,
And like,
What years?
down on Fairfax,
Here's a little display of women in bikes. You got this kind of filigree here in the paint job. We got all these various pictures of women on bicycles. That's a cool looking frame there.
You can, the wheels
Oh wow.
turn differently.
Oh yeah, you can take a
If you don't have
corner.
that, of course, you'll skid as you turn.
Mm-hmm.
This, one of these Bayless and Thomas tricycles is what Carl Benz used when he developed his first motor car in 1886.
Right.
Very, very similar model to this. It's just very slightly different.
Is this German?
No,
No.
it's
English.
It's English, but there's a museum in, I think it's in Germany, maybe Dresden. One of our volunteers looked up her old pictures from when she had been there, and there was the very, very similar tricycle.
That's really cool.
So, and that's one of the many technologies that was developed for the bicycle, and then was easily applied in cars. Also, of course, the not the chain drive, but the shaft drive.
Yeah.
Were pneumatic tires, and so you could put a lot
Like,
of suspension.
I was
right
surprised some of those ones from the late 1800s had air in them too, right?
there. Just about all the tires on the older bikes are, the pneumatic tires developed really adapted to bikes by 1891, 92.
Yeah,
You see it right over here.
that surprises me too, because I
Yes.
thought that was more 20s and 30s.
No, much sooner. So as they were making
I
cars.
love this chain.
He was
Yeah, and see, this has suspension. This has rear suspension. This has front suspension.
and their only son
Oh wow, I didn't even
Just
see
so
that
much
one.
going on in these bikes. Joe right here, curator, is telling him about something. He's showing a shaft rider.
That's awesome.
Yes, and there were so many people working on suspension in that period and
Right.
patenting their ideas. When mountain bike designers in the early 1990s were developing suspension,
Yeah.
they always had to look up what ideas had already been patented.
Oh,
Because
wow.
in terms of mechanical
I didn't think about that.
devices, they could use it, of
So
course, but they
they'd
couldn't
come up with an
patent it if
idea
it
and they'd
had
look
been
it up and
done.
go, ah!
Yeah, somebody did that 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Not exactly 100 years, so it's pretty cool.
He was the fastest.
This is, these are to rest your feet
Oh
while you're
yes,
going
here's an
downhill?
example. She's doing that because the thing is, these are all fixies. So as you go downhill, your
Coasting.
your pedals are
They go
going
up.
around and around.
Oh, yeah.
And so you want to get your, if you don't want to do this.
I didn't think about that.
So most all of them will have what are called coasting pegs, yeah.
Racism and such.
Yeah, so this would go whoop, 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 whoop.
Right.
Yeah, that could hurt.
It could.
What's this thing for?
Um,
I wonder.
Right.
I mean, I know it's holding the bike up, but
This is just the bracket holding the bike up
okay.
right here.
yeah.
Yeah. But Joe designed those brackets and you'd be able to.
Oh yeah.
Beyond my technical
Bracket designer.
I mean, actually, in fact, when I learned something new, I'm so talented.
This is crazy too. The rear brake design.
They're gonna make a major motion picture.
Very, very.
And they did almost always have lights on them. Of course, much less lighting of roads in this period. And they were using their bikes to go places.
Yeah, this is
Transportation, and
before
they,
cars.
like us, they
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, right, I was about to say, I'd love to see what the inside is.
But it says
Very neat.
there's a bevel gear, I mean,
Huh.
they're-
This one's really cool.
Yes. So this one, this is.
Cog gear.
Why do
As you
they?
see, it's a much simpler frame.
Why do they call it a safety bike?
That is actually the term they started using in the late 1880s when they developed the gearing.
Oh, okay.
So you're pedaling your chains, you're turning your chain ring here, and it's geared up. You know, you're driving your rear wheel,
Okay.
and so you can have smaller wheels.
Okay.
Because with the high wheel bike,
People could fall off.
your gear was your wheel.
Would people fall and injure and hit their heads and stuff?
Yes.
So they call these safety bikes?
These are safer because you're lower to the ground. Yeah. Yeah, and so they just continue to be called that.
The friction.
It settled into just a bicycle. And typically, people who rode high wheel bikes, they
Right.
very often called them their wheel.
Yeah, so there's.
Oh,
You
really?
know, singular because they were riding this huge wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an example of the pneumatic tire.
Yeah.
To show. That's why this frame is so simple. It doesn't have a bunch of mechanical suspension,
Right.
although it has its frame is simple.
You know what's so funny about
Because
this?
it has.
This is the same valve we still use on our cars.
Yeah.
That technology hasn't
That's
changed.
great. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this is pretty thorough history of bicycles.
It's just there. It's just so fascinating. And the social history around them too is really, really.
Would only the well-to-do be able to
At
afford
first,
them?
yes. At first, only the well-to-do. In the early period, but then as with so many things, say for instance the computer,
Yeah.
you know, the price goes more being made,
Right.
systems being made to make them easier to make all
Like
the time.
that Pierce one over there, that had to cost a
It
lot
had to
of
be a
money.
high-end bike,
Yeah.
yes, but it was, it would cost, it could easily cost a couple months' wages or more to get. Like, this picture's actually out in the San Geronimo Valley.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
That's
neat.
people from a bike club from San Francisco.
That's really cool, actually.
To stay in. They didn't have to camp at what's now San Taylor Park. They could, there was a hotel there. They could stay in right by the,
Well, yeah, it's funny. I camped at San Taylor in February,
yeah.
and I grew up camping there as a kid.
Uh-huh.
I know all about that part.
Yeah, so the album is from has pictures of it at the hotel, you know, one of those places where
Yeah, I learned February can be very cold.
yes.
We didn't bring enough warmth. We were freezing all night. We bought the little thin sleeping bags.
Just being in the records. You know?
Yeah. This is wild too. So this attaches to the other.
This is a tricycle. It's fairly hard to see because of the way it's you know, in with the other bikes there. This frame, which is like basically the main parts of the T-shape.
Oh, wow.
Two small wheels here are for steering. You see it has rack and pinion steering.
Oh wow,
So you're
that's
steering
crazy.
there.
They steer opposite.
So that, yeah, that's actually what works. It rides really smoothly. And then this is the driving wheel, the push wheel, and you can see that you're sitting here, and you're pedaling there, and the chain, it's not geared up, but the chain is carrying your pedaling energy, you know, churning this wheel.
Yeah.
So that's why that's your driving wheel, which means as with a high wheeler, one pedal rotation takes that circumference.
It's a lot of things they don't.
And you can see it has a drum brake. This is the higher lever. That's the drum brake, and you can see how it would engage here.
Yeah, a piece of leather, yeah.
And also, of course, you stop pedaling, you resist pedaling.
This is probably right before cars. Someone probably thought, we need to put an engine there.
Well, this is 1881.
Yeah.
And it was Mr. Benz in 1885-6 who was doing, and many others were doing that. And they were experimenting with 2-, 3-, and 4-wheeled vehicles in this period.
That's really cool.
And obviously, motorcycle, also developed other bicycles.
Yeah. That drum brake's really neat.
Isn't that neat? Yeah. Yeah, and this rides very smoothly. We took it over to the Exploratorium a couple years ago for one of their. They have a wonderful series, a Thursday night series.
So when these kids get to high school, it's like mountain bikers.
They have a special.
No, I rode on
they open it up. You know, you can come at night and do stuff. And so we brought over some of our old bikes. And Joe like rode this tricycle into the Exploratorium's back door. It was very cool to see right there on the waterfront.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But they're not.
And you can see
I definitely went there a bunch of times growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, now it's down.
Yeah, on the wharf.
You know where it is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see how the roads were rough.
Yeah.
And there they are riding. The woman's on a tricycle
She's on one
because
of
she's wearing a
these,
dress.
yeah.
But you can see the different configuration there. She's between two big wheels,
Yeah.
and she has a small steering wheel at the front.
Huh. That's wild.
Yeah.
The wrist must have got tired after a while.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
I
you'd
don't
think it
know.
would. Well, when you're moving, it's probably
but
not.
I hadn't thought about that before, but I think, yeah, if you were on the rough roads. And then this is just really for holding on to as you're riding. You know, just a more comfortable position to have that to hold on to and not be hanging on your brake all the time.
Wow. It's pretty
And
neat.
there you go, you see how they ride at night. And an interesting thing on here, you see this is early mid-1880s.
Yeah.
And they are on high wheelers. And because, you know, if you mounted a light all the way up there,
You wouldn't get
you
anything,
wouldn't be
right?
lighting your road surface very well. They really needed to see their road surface.
And the lights probably weren't that great either, right?
Well, they had some pretty decent ones because, of course, they were pretty good at gas lighting, kerosene lighting
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah, I guess you're
that's
right.
how you lit a house too,
Yeah.
or a carriage. But anyway, they had lights that they would hang in here.
Really?
And so that's why you're seeing with these guys. You see how some of these are lower.
Oh,
those
yeah.
are hub-mounted lights, and what that's doing is lighting the road in front of them because they're way up there on their wheel and they've got to see if there's a bump or a rut.
That's a good idea. So they would kind of just piece of leather or something in there and they'd roll it straight?
Yes, Joe can tell you exactly how they were mounted, but in some way there they were. So what you're looking at there is a 1860s indoor riding school because the pedal bicycle had just been invented and nobody knew how to ride yet. And this is a little later. This is outside Boston, and this is a group of quite movers and shakers of the era doing a ride around to advocate for better roads.
Oh.
Because in fact, all this talk of these rough roads, it was the cyclists in the late part of the 19th century. It was cyclists who were lobbying for better roads.
That's
And
funny.
they basically paved the way automobiles.
Yeah, I never thought about the I mean, in the wet weather, it must have been miserable.
Yeah.
Probably couldn't really ride because it just spin in the
Well,
mud.
when you read the old stuff about it, you definitely I just can't imagine.
No.
But they would, it would be rainy and they'd be slogging along.
So this one's from 1865, you think?
Not 1865. I think it's probably around 1868 or 70. It's like a Michaud. It's not truly a Michaud bike, but the
What is
Michaud
that? Is that a
brothers
style?
in France.
Okay.
The Michaud and Company in France were the people who started a company to build this type of bike in Paris and sell them. But this is just somewhat. It's
But you
the
don't
same
think-
type.
Okay.
It's the same
It's like a
design,
copycat, yeah.
but it seems less from what we've heard from experts. It's not a true Michaud, but
No.
it is a period anyway. And you can see again, this pedal is going to go round and round as you go down.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's why it's got the thing up there.
Oh,
As you coasted, like the
yeah.
coasting pegs on the safety
Yeah,
bike.
yeah, yeah.
But you put your legs all the way up there. Like, I think one of you guys in here might be doing that.
You had to be, like you said, in shape to ride.
Totally. And this thing weighs about 70 pounds.
It doesn't look like it's light now.
No, because it's wrought iron.
Yeah, this is crazy, this brake.
Yeah, the brake. And that, and by the way, the light on there,
Yeah.
that's not really of the same period.
Oh,
It
okay.
just looks nice on there.
Yeah.
It's a little later light. But anyway, the way this brake works
Yeah.
is that you can see the piece of rawhide
Yeah.
there at the handlebar.
Yeah.
And you can see that it comes down here and that it will, if you were to pull on that, you'd push the wood block against the iron tire.
Probably not very
And you
effective.
would, no, right. And you would make it tighter by actually turning
Oh,
turning
this,
your
you
handlebar
twist
so that
that?
it's like you were spooling the thread.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah.
And the rawhide presumably would stretch, and so you
That's crazy.
you'd keep hanging on to it.
Huh.
Yep. So these were what introduced people to pedal bicycles, but very, very soon, they were already working in steel by the end of the 1860s,
Mhm.
early 1870s, and developing the high wheeler with the steel
That's crazy.
steel spokes and tubular steel frame and ball bearings.
Yep.
Excuse me a second.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just gonna look at the gift shop, if
Okay,
that's
great.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know if you have any questions.
Curling ball bearings.
Yeah, so this is a Rudge, and Daniel Rudge had one of the most important patents on ball bearings.
Really?
So we're showing the ball bearing
Oh.
technology there, which was perfected with the bicycle because it was so important to have that smoothly rolling wheel. And then it was, of course, applied to many other things. But Courtney won her first world championship on it, and she is a local woman. She grew up in Kentfield.
What kind of world champ? Mountain biking? Okay.
Mountain bike cross country.
Okay.
Yes. And she's won 2 world championships, and she's
This is her.
going for the Olympics now. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had I went to the what is it, Sea Otter event at
sure.
Sears Point one year.
Uh-huh.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's Laguna Seca.
They're doing it this year now, there?
It's been at Laguna Seca for quite
It was at
a while.
Sears
It was
Point
at Sears
one year.
Point earlier on.
Yeah, and they had downhill,
Yeah, I think
and they made all this special courses for them with
they
bulldozers.
do, yeah. Yeah, well, at Laguna Seca, they've got a pretty big trail system, so it's a good place to do those. They've got areas for the road racing and downhills and cross country.
This is
And then this is a Tour de France bike.
that thing looks light.
Yes, it's extremely light. It's the minimum weight. It's got a lot of carbon fiber.
Yeah.
The thing is,
What is the weight?
for racing, it's about 15 pounds, and it really, when you pick it up, it's just
Yeah, it's nothing.
for racing, because for the safety of the cyclists, who are, going so fast.
Yeah.
The UCI, the Racing Sanctioning Organization, they always have a minimum weight because if you try to gain an advantage by riding a 13-pound bike,
Yeah.
Which technologically could be done, it would also be kind of dicey.
Because it's not stable enough, right?
Well, it's
Just
not
too
strong.
light.
It's not strong enough for the kind
Yeah.
of power you're exerting, and so it keeps the riders safer to have that room, that weight.
Right.
But this is from the 2014 Tour Fox.
Well,
Bikes are
Early.
actually racing bikes. So these are both Schwinn Paramounts, so they're built by expert frame builders in Chicago in
that's a helmet.
1939, 1930. Yes, that's what the helmets were like.
Wow.
If you wore one, it was just a simple thing like that. Yes.
A wooden
so
wheel.
these two Schwinn Paramounts were raced by people road and track. Yeah. So these are
Those are cool.
fixies, and Schwinn had a special frame builders for its top bikes.
Oh, really? So they were stamped Schwinn, but Schwinn didn't really make the frames?
So these people were making them for Schwinn as opposed to they were part of the factory. It's just a special part of the factory where they're making them.
Interesting. These trophies are neat too.
These were pretty impressive.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know how that bike is. Now this bike does belong to a very tall guy, so it's an extra big wheel. Because of course your wheel size
How big this
is
thing is.
determined by your inseam.
And you'd have to, I've seen them climb on. They gotta like jump on that and then jump on this while it's rolling.
Yeah, you start it rolling, you put one foot in, you get it going, you swing your leg over.
Yeah.
They were used to mounting horses, so they were used to that feel of putting your foot up and swinging it over. But then you don't have the horse just doing it right for you.
Right.
You're steering with your driving wheel. And you have to know how to get off.
That's a good point. A lot of knowledge.
Oh, you gotta try talking to Joe.
Sedona. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I understand now.
Well, I know. I can tell. I can hear.
Right.
Here's the great thing about him.
Especially if he, like you said, he's part of the history.
Yes, and he's a frame builder and just thinks he's a machinist and understands.
I remember when Sammy Hagar got involved too, right? He sold
Yes.
red rocker bikes or something.
Right. And am I right that he owned that bike shop maybe down in
I think so.
These are just donated wheels for us to sell. So
Oh,
they're
I
not part of
see.
the show. Yeah, those
Those are neat.
are sculptures are
This
probably
is cool. 1939 or so? Or one?
these guys are, I think they're probably Whiskeytown downhill trophies. It's a downhill race. And kind of near Reading, I think.
Yeah.
And these guys, this is in 1977.
Okay.
And they're lining up to do a race called the Enduro. It's the first Enduro. That
cool.
includes many of the pioneers around there.
I mean, before COVID, was it good? And now it's getting better?
Yeah, and we only reopened, around 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I didn't know it.
Yeah,
Guess my timing's good.
We all wanted to be vaccinated and,
Yeah, no,
and just know that we would be, we and our guests would feel safe being in here, so of course masks and everything. And a lot of our sale items are made by volunteers here too.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, like the masks and the clocks, a lot of the cards.
Yeah, those cards are cool.
Yes.
And this guy here is in the parking lot. Who do you think would ride that thing? Godzilla?